Hi everyone, my name is Gittleman. I am the Workshops and Education Coordinator for GreenThumb, the program of NYC Parks that works with community gardens across the city. In this video, I'll be making a bunch of pickles, starting with the classic Jewish deli half sour. And I'll also be demonstrating how to make a fermented hot sauce and a basic sauerkraut with recipes that you can use with so many different veggies from the garden, not just cucumbers and cabbage. Fermentation has been used in cultures all over the world to preserve the harvest, extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables, and create a wealth of delicious beverages, condiments, and other dishes. There are countless traditions, recipes, and variations that you can have a lot of fun with once you get started. These pickles we'll be making are fermented through a process called lacto-fermentation, which relies on a saltwater brine to create the right environment for good bacteria known as lactobacillus, which are already present on the surface of vegetables. And then we wait. So to start with, I have in this jar 4 cups of clean filtered water, and to that 4 cups I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of kosher salt. There are a lot of different ratios out there. This is one that has worked for me, and assumes that at some point we will be refrigerating these pickles, whereas in the past sometimes recipes would involve more salt so that they could be more shelf stable, but then you really need to rinse those vegetables before eating them. So I have a 1/4 cup of salt, 4 cups of water that I'm going to mix until the salt dissolves. I'm using clean glass jars. You can also use a ceramic fermentation crock, but you shouldn't use any kind of metal or any other reactive material for fermenting your vegetables. Alright, then in a separate container, I'm going to start by adding all of my fillings. And so for me, that's going to mean some garlic, which we'll crush using the back of a knife. Some dill that I've washed. If you don't have fresh dill, you can always use dried dill, no problem. Because pickles will soften over time, you can add herbs or greens that have natural tannins in them. So I'm adding a leaf from my horseradish plant, and I'm going to add 2 or 3 leaves of bay leaves, which also have natural tannins in them and can help keep your pickles crispy. I'm going to add a chili pepper for flavor. You don't have to. And 1/2 teaspoon each of some pickling spices, which for me are going to include coriander, black pepper, a pinch of cloves, and yellow mustard seeds. You can use whatever spices you like. That's the nice thing about making your own pickles. You can add more chili if you want a spicier pickle. You can add wasabi powder if you want wasabi pickles. You can add whatever you'd like. So once we have all of our flavoring elements in the jar, now I'm going to add our cucumbers, which I'm using Kirby cucumbers. They are known to have less of a water content. You don't really want to use larger English cucumber slicer cucumbers because they have so much water inside that they're just going to get soft. And so these are Kirby's. They're also just a nice size. I'm going to leave them whole, which is a choice you can make. If you can slice them, you can ferment them sliced as well, but they hold their crunch better if you keep them whole. So I'm going to stuff as many as I can into this jar. I've washed the pickles and I've also soaked them in ice water. You can also just refrigerate them first, but starting with cold cucumbers helps you maintain that crisp, which again is what we're looking for. So I really want them to fit in the jar. I'm going to cut this one. Now I am going to top it off with the brine that I made. You'll notice I've left an inch of space at the top and that all of the vegetables are completely submerged in the water. We want to create an anaerobic environment, which means without oxygen, so that the fermentation process can be successful. I'm going to top my jar with a pretty handy tool that acts as an airlock so that gas can escape, but that air and oxygen cannot get back in. There are many variations of tools like this. This one involves this little doohickey that has water in it so that gas can escape, oxygen cannot get in it. You can also buy these like pickle toppers that go with one of these, jar lid rings, and those will also let gas escape. There are a lot of different ways to do that. You can also just use a regular jar lid and every day open it up a little bit so that the gas can escape, close it again. This is called burping. And that's it. Now we've made half sour pickles. Now we just wait. And so these are the nice thing about making them at home is that you can let them get as sour as you personally like it. So I'm going to taste it every day and put it in the fridge when it's the right level of sour for me. So if I leave it for 2 or 3 days, I'm going to get half sours. If I leave it for another 2 or 3 days, I'm going to get full sours. The temperature in the kitchen will hinder or speed up the process. If it's warmer in your kitchen, the pickles are going to ferment faster. So keep an eye out for that. And the important part about keeping all the vegetables below the surface is so that you don't get any mold, but mold is always a possibility. If on the surface of your brine, if you start to see white mold, it's okay, just scrape it off. But if you see any other colors, it's a sign that the product has probably turned, and I would toss it. And that's it. That's half sours. It's 24 hours later in a pretty warm Brooklyn kitchen in the summer, which means our pickles are fermenting faster than they usually would. So I'm gonna try it. The half sours have started to ferment. You can tell because the brine is now getting kind of cloudy and the pickles are starting to change color. So with clean washed hands, I'm opening this up, and you can either taste one of the pickles or just taste the brine. So I'm just going to taste the brine. And it already tastes like pickle brine. It tastes delicious. I actually might try one of the pickles. Day one, it pretty much still just tastes salty, but the brine is starting to get sour, so in another day or two, I think we're going to have half sours.